Hello, and thank you for selecting this Sapleo Education Training course, Raising Standards Literacy Training Strategies, practical-based strategies to support teaching and learning. This training is brought to you by Sapleo Education, your accredited CPD provider. Please watch the video and listen to the voiceover in full. The assessment questions that follow will refer to both the written and audio training content. Please ensure that your volume is turned up to an appropriate level to avoid any difficulties. At the end of this video, you will be required to answer questions relating to the training. You must answer them all correctly to pass the CPD accredited training and will receive a certificate via email. You may pause and re-watch the video content at any time. This course is designed to provide participants with a comprehensive framework for supporting literacy development, helping you to raise standards and improve outcomes for all students. We will focus on 3 critical literacy skills: reading, where we'll explore strategies for improving decoding, fluency and comprehension; writing, where the emphasis will be on helping students structure and communicate their ideas effectively; and oracy, where you'll learn techniques for developing students' speaking and listening skills, essential components of overall literacy development. You will also be introduced to a variety of practical strategies that you can immediately implement in your classroom, from phonics instruction for early readers to scaffolding techniques for more advanced learners. These strategies are designed to engage all students, including those who might struggle with literacy, and to help them progress. We'll discuss ways to support diverse learners with a focus on differentiation. This means providing tools that meet the varying needs of students, whether through targeted interventions for struggling readers or approaches that challenge more advanced students. By the end of the course, you will have the knowledge and skills to create a literacy-rich, inclusive learning environment, one where students are empowered to engage deeply with texts, express their ideas clearly in writing, and communicate effectively through spoken language. Course structure and units of learning. The course is structured around 3 core learning modules, each focusing on critical areas of literacy training. These modules are particularly relevant to Level 2 and Level 3 teaching assistants, but will also benefit teachers and other educational professionals. The modules are as follows. Module 1, Reading. This module covers strategies to support students in developing decoding, fluency and comprehension skills. Module 2, Writing. Here we will focus on improving students' ability to express their thoughts clearly and structure their writing effectively. Module 3, Oracy. Often an overlooked element of literacy, oracy is key to developing students' speaking and listening skills, enhancing their ability to articulate ideas and communicate effectively. Each module is designed to provide you with practical, actionable strategies that align with the current curriculum and literacy frameworks in England and Wales. Through this course, the aim is to achieve key objectives that will support your professional development and impact your students' literacy outcomes. Firstly, we aim to deepen your understanding of effective literacy strategies and how they contribute to student success. Recognizing the importance of these strategies is the first step towards improving student engagement and achievement. You will acquire a diverse set of practical tools and techniques to facilitate the development of your students' literacy skills. These strategies will range from early reading techniques to enhancing advanced writing and speaking abilities. The final aim is to develop confidence in applying these strategies in your role, whether you are a teacher or teaching assistant. By the end of this course, you should feel equipped to incorporate these practices into your daily teaching, knowing that they align with best practice and research in literacy education. Ultimately, the broader aim of this course is to contribute to the promotion of literacy as a whole. By raising literacy standards, we can significantly improve overall student achievement, helping them to succeed not just academically, but in their future personal and professional lives. Module 1, Reading. Understanding reading development. To begin improving students' reading abilities, it's important to understand how reading skills develop. Literacy starts with phonemic awareness, which is the ability to hear, identify, and manipulate individual sounds known as phonemes in spoken words. It is the foundation of learning to read. For example, a child who can hear that cat consists of the sounds k, a, and t has developed strong phonemic awareness. Once students master phonemic awareness, they move on to decoding. Decoding is the process of applying letter-sound relationships to read words. This involves recognizing letters and their corresponding sounds, then blending them together. For example, the word shop involves understanding that sh makes one sound and combining it with the sounds for o and p. As students' decoding skills improve, they work on fluency, reading with appropriate speed, accuracy, and expression. Fluent readers can focus more on understanding the meaning of the text rather than on the mechanics of reading itself. Finally, the ultimate goal of reading is comprehension, the ability to understand and interpret the text. Comprehension requires background knowledge, vocabulary, and cognitive skills, like making inferences. Throughout this course, we will explore strategies to help students strengthen each of these key areas of reading development. Strategies for early readers. For early readers, structured approaches like systematic synthetic phonics, also known as SSP, are essential. SSP is a method of teaching phonics in a systematic, step-by-step way. It begins with simple sound-letter relationships and gradually introduces more complex patterns, such as diagraphs, for example, sh or ch sounds. Research has shown that students who receive phonics instructions early on build stronger decoding skills. In addition to SSP, many educators find multisensory learning valuable. This approach engages multiple senses, such as using letter tiles that students can move and touch, flashcards for visual cues, or speaking and hearing sounds aloud. For example, a child might say the sound k while tracing the letter k in the air. This reinforces learning by combining tactile, visual, and auditory input. Another effective method is shared reading, where the teacher reads a book or piece of text aloud, and students follow along. This can include asking students questions during reading to check their comprehension, or having them predict what might happen in the next story. It models fluency and exposes students to richer vocabulary. Finally, teaching blending and segmenting is critical for early learners. Blending involves combining individual sounds to read a word. For example, b, a, t becomes bat. Segmenting is the opposite, breaking down words into individual sounds, which is key for spelling. Supporting struggling readers. Supporting struggling readers requires a proactive and targeted approach. Reading interventions are structured programs designed to help students who are falling behind. These interventions typically involve intensive one-to-one or small group sessions focused on the specific areas where the student is struggling. For example, a Year 2 student who struggles with blending sounds may benefit from targeted phonics practice multiple times a week. Teachers and TAs would be expected to have an awareness of current reading strategies, such as this, which they would utilise during classroom activities to support the students when undertaking reading tasks. Another essential strategy is differentiated instruction. This means adapting your teaching or support to meet the unique needs of each student. In practice, this might involve providing simpler text or offering more scaffolding for students who need extra support. For students with strong reading skills, it might involve providing more challenging material to keep them engaged. Small group work is another way to provide focused attention on specific skills. Working with smaller groups allows for more personalised feedback and gives students more opportunities to participate actively in reading activities. For example, during guided reading sessions, the teacher can offer individualised support and assess each student's progress more closely. Equally, this applies to TAs working with individual or groups of students. Explicit vocabulary instruction is especially important for struggling readers, as vocabulary knowledge directly impacts reading comprehension. Teaching keywords before reading a text ensures that students aren't held back by unfamiliar vocabulary. For example, pre-teaching words like ocean, tide, and shore before reading a story about the beach can greatly improve understanding. Promoting a love for reading. One of the most effective ways to help students become better readers is to promote a genuine love for reading. Independent reading time is a great way to engage this. Allow students to choose books that they're interested in and give them time during the school day to read. When students are allowed to explore topics and genres they enjoy, they become more motivated to read. For example, a student interested in animals might enjoy reading non-fiction books about wildlife, while another might prefer reading graphic novels. Promoting reading for pleasure goes beyond reading to fulfill an academic task. It's about helping students to find joy in stories, information, and different perspectives. To support this, try sharing your enthusiasm for books and talk about what you're reading. For those on a long-term placement, you could set up a classroom book club or have regular time for students to share their favourite books with each other. Those on shorter contracts can still read with students during the school day and have positive discussions around reading. Offering diverse texts that reflect different cultures, backgrounds, and experiences is also crucial. Typically, this responsibility would fall to the classroom teacher. However, TAs can also suggest or provide reading materials for students that they are interacting with as a means to encourage participation and develop confidence. Students are more likely to engage with books and other reading materials when they can see themselves in the characters or when they can learn about new worlds and perspectives. By providing a variety of texts, fiction, non-fiction, poetry, and even graphic novels, you cater to different interests and reading levels. Lastly, involving students in book talks or reading circles allows them to discuss what they're reading with their peers, promoting a sense of community around reading. These discussions encourage students to think critically about what they have read and to share their thoughts and interpretations with others. This task is an excellent starter activity to feed into a written task. It promotes oracy and builds confidence by allowing the students to express their thoughts and opinions about the topic or subject. Assessing reading progress. Regular assessment of reading progress is essential to ensure that students are developing their skills effectively. For early readers and later at primary level, regular reading assessments are conducted to determine progress and to ensure that work is set at an appropriate level. For older learners, such as those in secondary school, reading assessments are conducted primarily within English lessons. However, literacy skills are taught in all areas across the curriculum, and half-termly or termly reading assessments may take place across the school. You may be required to provide information about student reading, whether on long or short-term supply. Formative assessments are ongoing evaluations that help teachers to identify student strengths and areas that need improvement. These assessments can take many forms, from informal observations during class to structured assessments like quizzes or reading logs. For example, keeping a record of how well a student reads aloud and noting areas where they struggle can provide valuable insight into their fluency and decoding skills. Running records are a specific form of formative assessment where the teacher listens to a student read aloud and tracks their fluency, accuracy, and comprehension. During a running record, the teacher notes any errors or self-corrections the student makes and uses this information to plan future instruction. This helps ensure that the reading material is appropriately challenging and that the student is progressing. Comprehension quizzes are another tool to check understanding after reading. These quizzes can include multiple choice questions, short answers, or tasks that ask the students to summarize the text. Comprehension quizzes provide a snapshot of how well students are grasping the meaning of text that they read. They can be carried out at various points in the day or be used as a measure of understanding after a period of time, such as at the end of a topic. Whether you are responsible for a whole class, a group of students, or one specific student, using data-driven instruction ensures that your teaching or support is targeted to meet students' needs. The school will have assessment results that they should be able to provide, which can help you to tailor your instruction to focus on areas where students need the most support, whether that's improving fluency, working on decoding, or strengthening comprehension skills. Module 2, Writing. Understanding writing development. Writing is a complex skill that involves both transcription and composition. Transcription refers to the mechanics of writing, handwriting, spelling, and grammar. For younger students, legible handwriting and accurate spelling are essential foundations, while older students may focus more on refining their grammatical accuracy. It's important to remember that students who struggle with transcription often struggle with expressing their ideas clearly in writing. Composition is another key aspect of writing. It includes the processes of planning, drafting, revising, and editing a text. Strong writers learn how to organize their thoughts before writing, create drafts that communicate their ideas, and then revise and edit their work to improve the clarity and coherence. For example, when writing a story, students will need to plan the beginning, middle, and end, draft their story, then revise it for detail and check for errors. Developing confidence in this skill from a young age is particularly important for learners when they get to Key Stage 4 and 5, as they would be expected to complete written coursework and examinations independently. Writing serves many purposes. We often think of writing as either narrative, telling a story, informative, providing facts, or persuasive, convincing the reader of something. Teaching students to understand the purpose of their writing is crucial. For instance, when writing an argumentative essay, students need to learn how to present their evidence and persuade their audience. Encouraging students to develop their own voice in writing helps them express themselves creatively. Voice is about allowing students to inject their own personality into their writing, whether through word choice, tone, or in style. This can be seen in personal reflections, creative stories, or even persuasive essays, where the student's perspective shines through. Strategies for teaching writing. Effective writing instruction often involves providing structured support through scaffolding. Scaffolding in writing may involve guided students through each step of the writing process, from brainstorming ideas to editing a final draft. For example, a teacher might provide a graphic organizer to help students plan their writing before they start their draft. As students become more confident writers, the scaffolding can be gradually reduced. Another helpful strategy is shared writing, where the teacher writes in front of the class with input from the students. This technique models the writing process, and students can suggest ideas for the writing or point out areas for improvement. It allows students to see how a writer thinks and revises in real time. For students who struggle with sentence structure, sentence starters and writing frames are invaluable tools. These provide a framework for students to build upon. For example, a sentence starter like, "One reason I believe, can help a student to begin a persuasive paragraph. This reduces the cognitive load of figuring out how to start, allowing students to focus more on the content. Peer review and editing are also valuable practices. When students review each other's work, they learn how to critically assess writing, giving feedback on clarity, structure, and grammar. This process not only helps the writer to improve, but also reinforces the reviewing student's understanding of good writing practices. For example, one student might notice that their peer's essay lacks clear topic sentences and offer suggestions for improvement. Supporting struggling writers. Supporting struggling writers involves using tools and strategies that simplify the writing process. Graphic organizers are particularly useful for helping students to plan and structure their writing. These visual aids, such as mind maps or storyboards, allow students to organize their thoughts before they start writing. For example, a student writing a persuasive essay could use a graphic organizer to outline their main argument and supporting evidence. Sentence combining exercises are another effective technique to help struggling writers develop more complex and varied sentences. By combining short, simple sentences into longer, more descriptive ones, students learn how to add detail and improve the flow of their writing. For example, the sentences, "The dog is big," "The dog is running," could be combined into, "The big dog is running down the street." Explicit grammar instruction is crucial for students who struggle with the mechanics of writing. This involves teaching key grammatical structures in a clear, focused way. For example, lessons might focus on the use of commas or how to form complex sentences. For students with significant writing difficulties, assistive technology can be a game changer. Tools like speech-to-text software allow students to dictate their ideas if handwriting or typing is a barrier. Word prediction software can also help by suggesting words that students type, reducing the cognitive load of thinking about spelling and word choice. Encouraging writing for different audiences. Helping students understand that writing can be tailored for different audiences is a powerful motivator. Purposeful writing means encouraging students to think about who will read their work and why. For example, writing a job application letter would require a formal tone, while a personal diary entry would be more informal and reflective. Developing audience awareness helps students to make decisions about style, tone, and language. For instance, when writing a story for younger children, students might use simpler vocabulary and focus on exciting visual elements, while an essay for their classmates might include more sophisticated arguments and evidence. Providing opportunities to publish work is an excellent way to motivate students. Whether it's through a classroom display, a school newsletter, or an online blog, knowing that their writing will be read by others can encourage students to put more effort into their work. Publishing doesn't have to be formal. It can also take the form of reading their work aloud to peers during a class presentation session or use of a visualizer in class. Additionally, writing competitions can be a great way to motivate students. Many schools and organisations offer local or national competitions for different age groups and genres, such as poetry, essays, or short stories. The prospect of external recognition and feedback can inspire students to take their writing more seriously. Often, schools will engage with writing challenges, competitions, and events. In the role of a supply teacher or TA, you would be expected to assist students in their writing activities to support the school with any initiatives. Assessing writing progress. Assessing writing effectively requires clear criteria and continuous feedback. Schools will typically have preferred methods in place to enable this. Writing rubrics are a useful tool for assessing writing progress. A rubric breaks down the different aspects of writing, such as content, organization, grammar, and vocabulary, so that students understand what is expected of them. Providing formative feedback throughout the writing process is key to helping students improve. This feedback should be constructive, offering specific advice on how students can revise their work. Instead of simply making errors, teachers or TAs might suggest ways to clarify ideas or improve sentence variety. Formative feedback is meant to guide students in making revisions rather than simply evaluating the final product. This is often referred to as live marking. Encouraging self and peer assessment can help students develop critical thinking about their writing. For instance, students could use a checklist to evaluate whether they've included all of the necessary elements in their persuasive essay. Peer assessment allows students to give and receive feedback, teaching them to look critically at writing and to see their own work from a reader's perspective. Finally, creating writing portfolios is a powerful way to track progress over time. By collecting samples of students' writing from the beginning to the end of the term, both teachers and students can clearly see improvements in areas like fluency, organisation, and creativity. Portfolios can often give students a self of pride as they reflect on their growth as writers. Typically, this would be the overall responsibility of the main classroom teacher. However, in the role of a long or short term supply, you may be required to assist with the collation of student writing evidence as part of your classroom duties. Module 3 Oracy. Understanding Oracy. Oracy is the ability to express oneself effectively through speaking, as well as the ability to listen and engage in spoken communication. These skills are crucial for students' development as confident communicators both in and outside of the classroom. Speaking and listening form the foundation of oracy. Speaking involves articulating ideas clearly, using appropriate language, tone, and body language, while listening is about understanding and interpreting what others are saying. Developing strong oracy skills helps students to become better thinkers, as effective communication requires logical structuring of ideas and clarity of thought. The importance of oracy cannot be overstated. It is fundamental not only to academic achievement, but also to personal development. Oracy enhances critical thinking by enabling students to organize their thoughts and articulate complex ideas. Socially, oracy helps students to develop and build relationships, collaborate effectively with peers, and develop social skills like empathy and conflict resolution. Talk for learning is an essential concept in education. It emphasizes the use of spoken language as a tool for deepening understanding. For instance, encouraging students to explain a concept to their peers helps reinforce their own understanding. Classroom talk, whether in the form of discussions, debates, or group work, encourages students to clarify their thinking and develop their reasoning skills. Incorporating Oracy into the curriculum involves creating opportunities for students to engage in meaningful talk across all subjects. This might involve facilitating debates in history lessons, group discussions in science, or oral presentations in English. These opportunities help students to practice articulating ideas clearly, listening attentively, and responding thoughtfully to others. It is highly likely that you will encounter such activities in your role as supply staff in schools. Developing speaking skills. To develop strong speaking skills, we need to focus on several key areas. First is clear articulation, which means helping students to speak clearly and effectively. This includes working on pronunciation, adjusting volume to suit the audience, and using the appropriate tone for the situation. For example, a formal presentation might require a more serious tone, whereas a casual group discussion might allow for a more relaxed tone. Building confidence in speaking is vital, especially for students who may feel shy or anxious about speaking in front of others. Providing opportunities for public speaking, such as giving presentations, can help students to become more comfortable with speaking in front of an audience. Even small activities, like asking students to explain their answers in front of the class, can gradually build their confidence. An important part of motivating and improving speaking skills is expanding vocabulary. Students need to learn both subject specific vocabulary and higher level words to express complex ideas more effectively. For example, in a science class, students should be encouraged to use terms like photosynthesis or ecosystem accurately as part of their discussions. Structured talk activities are a practical way to develop speaking skills. Activities such as role play, where students take on different characters, help students to practice adapting their speech to different contexts. Presentations give students the chance to organize their thoughts and speak in a structured format. Debates are another excellent tool, although more suited to older learners, as they require students to present arguments clearly and respond to opposing viewpoints. Developing listening skills. Listening is just as important as speaking when it comes to oracy. Active listening involves paying full attention to the speaker, making eye contact, and responding appropriately. It is essential for building strong communication skills and for creating a classroom environment where students feel heard and respected. For example, during group work, students should be encouraged to listen carefully to each other's contributions before responding. A good way to ensure that students are practicing active listening is to teach them summarizing and paraphrasing techniques. These involve repeating what the speaker has said in their own words, which helps check for understanding. For instance, after a class discussion, a student might be asked to summarize the main points raised, ensuring that they have grasped the key ideas. Equally as important, students may be asked to repeat back instructions given by the teacher or TA. It ensures that the student always knows what to do and what is expected of them, and can help to address any misconceptions right at the start of a task or activity. Although this technique is universally good practice, in particular it is useful for students who may have additional learning needs, as it identifies requirements for differentiation at the start. Encouraging students to ask clarifying questions helps promote a culture of inquiry and ensures that students are fully understanding what they are hearing. Phrases like, "Can you explain that further?" or "What do you mean by?" Show that students are engaged and interested in deepening their understanding. These phrases can be written onto flashcards or on the board at the front of the class to prompt learners and encourage extension work. Finally, feedback and reflection are crucial in developing listening skills. Teaching students to give and receive constructive feedback, for example, I liked how you explained your argument, but I think you could expand on this point, helps to create a respectful, communicative environment. Reflecting on what they've heard and offering meaningful responses demonstrates a high level of engagement. Oracy in group work. Oracy plays a crucial role in effective group work. Collaborative discussions encourage students to engage with their peers' ideas, share their own thoughts, and work together towards a common goal. It's important to create an environment where all students feel comfortable participating and where different viewpoints are respected. Teachers and TAs can support the use of these strategies when directing a whole class or when working with smaller groups of learners. One strategy is to assign group roles to help structure discussions. For example, you could assign one student as the facilitator, responsible for guiding the discussion and ensuring everyone has a chance to speak. Another student might be the recorder, taking notes on the key points discussed, while another acts as the timekeeper, ensuring that the group stays on task and finishes within the allotted time. These roles help to create a sense of responsibility and accountability within the group. Building consensus is another key skill that group work promotes. Students learn how to negotiate differing opinions and come to an agreement, which is an important life skill. For example, in a debate, students might have to weigh up the strengths of each argument before agreeing on a final position. Encouraging students to explain their reasoning and listen to alternative viewpoints helps to build this skill. Ensuring inclusive participation is essential to successful group work. Some students may naturally dominate the conversation, while others may need encouragement to share their ideas. Teachers or TAs working with a group of students can intervene by directly asking quieter students for their input or setting up systems where each group member takes turns speaking. This helps to ensure that all voices are heard and valued. Assessing oracy skills. Assessing oracy requires a structured approach to evaluate both speaking and listening skills. Many schools use oracy frameworks that outline key criteria such as clarity, articulation, confidence, and the ability to listen and respond. These frameworks help teachers and students identify areas for improvement. For example, a rubric might assess how well a student expresses ideas, listens to others, and engages in dialogue. Providing formative assessment throughout oracy activities helps students continuously improve their skills. This might involve giving immediate feedback during class discussions or offering suggestions for improvement after a presentation. For instance, you might praise a student for clearly stating their argument, but suggest that they work on projecting their voice. Self and peer assessment are also useful tools for evaluating oracy. Teachers can provide the class or group with a success criterion or checklist at the start of a task, or perhaps in the case of older or more able learners, this can be written by the learners themselves. This gives students the guidance to reflect on their own performance or give feedback to their peers. Finally, it's important to celebrate involvement in oracy. Recognizing progress, no matter how small, encourages students to keep developing their speaking and listening skills. For example, a student who struggled to speak up in class might now feel confident enough to participate in a group discussion. Acknowledging these achievements promotes a positive learning environment and builds students' confidence. The role of oracy in literacy. Oracy and literacy are closely linked, and improving students' oracy skills directly impacts their reading and writing abilities. When students are able to clearly articulate their ideas through spoken language, they are better equipped to express themselves in written form and to understand complex texts. One way oracy supports literacy is by improving vocabulary. Engaging in rich spoken discussions exposes students to new words and concepts, expanding their vocabulary. This, in turn, allows them to better comprehend what they read and to use more sophisticated language in their writing. Another key benefit in the role of oracy plays in understanding texts is by talking about a text, students can deepen their comprehension. For example, engaging in discussions about the themes, characters, or plot of a novel allows students to explore the text from different perspectives. Classroom or group talk also gives students the opportunity to ask questions and clarify their understanding, which can lead to a richer interpretation of the text. Additionally, expressing ideas verbally before writing helps to clarify thoughts and organize ideas. Encouraging students to discuss what they plan to write, whether it's an essay, a story, or a report, can help them to organize their thoughts before committing them to paper. For instance, brainstorming ideas out loud or explaining their argument to the teacher, TA, or a peer can make the writing process smoother and more focused. Promoting oracy across the curriculum. Oracy shouldn't be limited to language or English lessons. It should be embedded throughout the entire curriculum. Embedding oracy in all subjects means making talk an integral part of learning in every lesson, whether it's maths, science, history, or art. This ensures that students practice their speaking and listening skills in a variety of contexts, helping them to develop the ability to articulate ideas across different subject areas. Schools are very aware of this requirement, and the promotion of literacy across the wider curriculum is generally a whole school priority. For instance, in a maths lesson, students might explain their reasoning behind solving a problem, while in art, they might discuss their inspirations and choices. By encouraging cross curricular discussions, teachers can promote critical thinking and help students connect ideas across subjects. These discussions don't just reinforce the content being taught, but often strengthen the student's ability to communicate complex ideas clearly and effectively. It's important to focus on subject specific oracy skills. Different subjects require different types of speaking and listening. For example, in humanities, students might engage in debates about climate change or participate in role playing activities, taking on the perspective of historical figures. Tailoring oracy activities to fit the specific content of skills of each subject helps students to apply their communication abilities in relevant and meaningful ways. Finally, building a culture of communication within the classroom is essential. Creating an environment where dialogue is valued and where students feel comfortable sharing their ideas and listening to others promotes oracy development. Teachers can encourage this through open discussions, modelling good communication practices, and setting clear expectations for respectful and constructive dialogues. TAs, on the other hand, can provide the support that some learners need to feel confident and to develop their understanding. This course has provided insights into key literacy strategies, emphasising the importance of promoting strong reading, writing, and oracy skills to support student success. By applying the practical strategies and techniques explored in this course, you'll be better prepared to enhance and support students' literacy development and to create a more engaging and inclusive learning environment. Thank you for selecting the Suppleio Education Raising Standards Literacy Training Strategies course, practical classroom-based strategies to support teaching and learning. Please proceed to the next page on the website and follow the instructions to answer the assessment questions.